And then make sure, we should see the screen. Do we see the screen here?
I'm on it.
Thank you so much. So your name tags, make sure you have your name tags. If you don't have one, make a new one. And let's move it.
She wants her own bedroom.
Is that okay?
For this one needs to log in.
Log in, what does it say?
Like password. Is it the one with the P that says live? Is it that app or is it another one?
No, you just want to get internet access.
Because I clicked on this one.
No.
That's not it? Okay.
And you can put it where you think it's, you're my photographer, you're my expert, so you put it where you think it's better, if it should be back, you know what I mean? The main thing, I don't need this part, but I need here.
Nothing happened.
Not yet, right? Okay. You may even want to put the rubber band so the phone won't drop.
I like it.
Okay. Okay, so welcome back. Let me know if you have problems. Today is Wednesday, September 5th, 2018. What we'll cover today is we'll make sure that we review healthcare trends. We'll review the MU. What is MU? Meaningful use. We'll talk about, did we get everything?
Yeah.
Good, thank you so much. We'll talk about data. Remind me to set a quiz. And we're also going to have a guest speaker. Our guest speaker is Dr. Stephen Gerst. He's a accomplished MD, MBA, and his main focus is in the area of mergers and acquisitions on Wall Street of healthcare companies. So he does multi-million-dollar deals and wheels on companies. He's based here in South Florida. He's a colleague of mine, and I find him as an excellent resource. So we'll have a discussion with him, and he should be coming in around 7:30. So we'll finish our lecture part with it, and then we'll do, I call it kind of an open discussion with him. He'll share with us some of the latest trends that are happening, especially in terms, he's doing a lot in telemonitoring, telehealth. He's investing in a number of companies. I think now he's also helping companies with cannabis, you know, a number of companies doing that. And he's quite an interesting fellow here. And he also, I got him a position to teach in the nursing school for their health informatics seminar there, since I wasn't able to have time to spend. Okay, so questions before we begin. How we doing? Everything we're plugging in there once a week. We're able to see how you're doing. And my freshmen, we're handling it, right?
Yep.
That's the main thing, is to have a good attitude. And basically the idea is there are always going to be issues, but what do I want you to be able to do is to document them. We won't have all the answers. Document them and to be able to proceed. So let me just do a couple of housekeeping chores here. We're broadcasting, so we'll be able to review that as well. Let me go back to our Blackboard and let me just see if everybody's doing okay. What are the issues? Let me go to the audit area. And Deb, in the audit area, what's the difference between the audit area, BTE 450 audit, versus the regular introduction to health informatics? What's the biggest difference, Deb? We can review what you've learned, huh?
You can add members to your group.
Because why? Let's make it sophisticated here. Is what? When we're especially talking with health care systems and any systems, we talk about what we call role-based systems. And what does that mean, Deb? Do you have any idea? Who can help them? So who doesn't have a name tag? Get a name tag. There's yellow tags here. If you don't have them, get up and make yourself a name tags if you don't have them. And you have markers. Let's go. Who can help them? Yes. Your name?
Sean.
Sean, right. You're all the way back there. You're moving all the time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So see how it is back there.
So is it like a group of people with like different competencies that like are coming together to complete a larger task?
Right, but in information systems and in health information system, what is the step for role-based? Let's think about it ourselves. We're going to look at a patient database. Right, Sean? Stay with me. So if I have let's say your health record, Sean, what's the role? You as your own health record, what do you have rights as? You have full rights. Do you have full rights to view? What does full rights mean? Who can tell me what full rights are in an information system? One is I can read the record, right? What else can I be able to do in a record? Edit it, meaning I can add, I can also modify, I can delete.
Send it to other people?
What?
Send it to other people?
I can have abilities to send it off to everyone. I could delete a record. So everybody follow me. Sean is a patient. What role does he play in the information system? What rights does he have?
Owner?
He's maybe he's the owner. Does he have? He's an owner, but what role does he can do? Can he delete? Can he edit? What do you think, Danny?
I think he can only view.
He can only view, and then maybe what he can do is he can possibly give permission for other people to view his record. Why doesn't he have permission to edit? Ricky was telling me maybe he owns that record. Why wouldn't he have a view to edit it?
He's not a physician.
What?
He's not a physician. He doesn't have like the.
Yeah, but what is the logic behind this? Do you understand, John? What's the logic behind? Everybody understand the question? He has a record, right, with all of his information, right? His demographics, his information, any of the allergies he has, any of the symptoms that he presented, any of his history. Everybody understand what I'm asking? And somebody said he owns it, why can't he edit it? Why can't he delete it? Why can't he modify it? And so,
He shouldn't be able to.
what?
He shouldn't be able to,
Why not?
because he doesn't work in the hospital.
Yeah, so,
He doesn't have full rights.
he doesn't have full rights, and why? Why, James?
Because that modifies the access to certain medications that he can have.
Right, all of a sudden I can say I have this type of disease, so I can get opioids, right? Right, I can change it, I've gotten so many drugs, and I'll delete all the opioids that I ordered in the past. I'm 10 pounds more than I wanna be, why not just, all my pre-existing conditions, right? Get rid of those. Add some additional conditions, right? We wanna have what? Integrity in our records. We wanna be able to verify those records, right? And have integrity for those records. So, given that's the fact, Deb, I'm going back to you, we're basically looking at two separate in one platform called Blackboard, a learning management system. We have it for this class, for this course, our names are listed twice. One role is what, Deb? Student. And what's the other role?
Instructor.
Instructor. It says, you remember when you look in Blackboard, what does it say? The courses you're teaching. Doesn't that say that? In your Blackboard, right? How many other courses are you teaching, Deb?
0.
0, right? So all of you should write to your, contact your parents and tell them, look how well I'm doing. I'm already teaching, right? The course. So, and what does that give you then the rights for? As instructor, what can you do? Sean, as instructor, what can you do in the audit area? What rights do you have?
You can add and create new content.
I can add and create new content. Can I add new users, Deb?
Yes, you
Can I remove users?
Yes, you can.
Can I delete data that's on here? Yes, I can, and can I add? So in that case, you have full rights. That's why in the audit area, when you upload your homeworks and everything, Sean, what should you do is you should back it up somewhere else, because inadvertently or intentionally, someone could delete your work, right? In your audit area. So you need to know that. That's why I'm telling you in some of the things, we're not doing it in those types of things where it needs to be, basically it's public to everyone that's in this group. So that's where it needs to come to. So if I go to course documents, right, and I have Roy, Emily, and Emma, right, which is in the first row, right? When I go to web conferencing software, then I have then what do we see here? So somebody want to tell me? You guys? What have you done? You've done Zoom?
Yeah, we got 3 of them.
Okay, Zoom. What else?
Team viewer.
Team viewer. Okay.
And
Go to meeting. Okay.
we got another one down there.
And join me. Excellent. Perfect. Everybody see that? They've done an excellent job. Now, which ones did you screencast?
We screencasted all of them, we each did one, and then we all did one together.
And which one did you do together?
The Zoom.
Zoom. Okay, so this one is together. Okay, excellent. So in this case, excellent. I have no issues. And then you put the price, right?
Not that one.
Okay, so put the price, folks. This is an excellent demonstration. What we want to do is we want to learn for best practices, and we want to learn from each other. So just it's like we rehearsed it, right? Emma, like we rehearsed this, right? I took this group and they did an excellent job. They used the items, they put them in basically bullet points of the pros, the cons, and you want to highlight then the price. There's a lot of times there's a free version and there's a paid version. So make out a way in which it's easy to see if what are the limitations of the free version, like they say here, 40 minutes max, 100 minute capacity. And then in this case, you can see here, you may want to do the paid versions. They're saying 40 minutes isn't for an important meeting, 100 is not a lot for a big company. But you can start, for our group, it may be good enough, for doing our presentation. And the worst, if it's 40 minutes, you can maybe break it down to part 1, part 2. So after 40 minutes, take a break and do another one. So this is the Zoom that you can see here. And then you can see here, Team Viewer. Roy, so what did you see in Team Viewer?
It was great.
Okay, and what was so good about it?
It has all the capabilities you asked for.
Right, and you can see somebody else's screen. Basically, Team Viewer, you'll see that it's a standard in software programming. When somebody wants to install your software from remotely, they'll use Team Viewer.
You take control on everything.
Right, they can take control, they can move around, and again, you give permission. So Sean, it's again that permission based, that I'm gonna give somebody permission in terms of roles to enter to my confidential space, and I'm giving them permission to take over. All right, so that's excellent. So make sure for each of your groups then that you follow this format that you have. Do you have a name tag?
Sorry, I don't.
So let's make one. Let's go. Folks, I don't need to repeat that again, right? So we got then the course documents here with group 1. Corey, Nico, and Ty, where are you? Okay, so what do we do in this case too? So we did Team Viewer. So what happened? So we gotta, where's Nico?
We all did that one.
Okay.
We're all on that video, like talking about that.
Okay, so you have the pros, you have the price?
Well, that, the version we have is great.
Okay, so you want to then talk about what are the versions, going back to what are the versions from the free and not, then you want to be, you're on this, then you want to have all names on it, and what I would do is I would go back and then review 2 more to see, sometimes in Team Viewer, we want to have, a Team Viewer has some disadvantages as well that we'll want to be able to do that. Okay, so we'll go back the same way. Lauren, Fiona, and Daniel, what do we got? Are you here? Where are you? Okay, in the back, what's up? Zoom. And Fiona, what did you look at? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's
Huh?
it's small. They said they only have 3,000 users.
Yeah, wow. And but it's not free?
It's free for 14 days, and
Then you have to pay. Okay. So what can you do versus the other one than Zoom? Is there any additions?
No, not really. It's all like same, like Zoom is.
Okay, so the idea is, so make it in terms of support then, and WebEx, right? The only problem with WebEx is it's a 30-day. So put in the pricing for WebEx as well, okay? And of course, what do I have here? Lauren, and then Faith, Lorna, and Sean. Are you here? The whole group is gone? Lorna sent me something, but that's not good, right? Okay, so group 5. So what do we do?
We did, Zoom.
Zoom, okay.
In our file that we have, we just, it was our group, we recorded it. At the
Okay,
same
so
time.
put, okay,
And then we
alright.
recorded at the same time, and then we, just did like the pros and cons.
Okay. So we got this, let me just make sure that I have it. So I have here, let's do a roll. Who has a sheet of paper? Emma, you have a sheet of paper?
yeah, I can get one.
Do me a favor, make a roll. Put the course number on the very, very top and the date. And then for the column headings, put first, last, for name, put email, phone, and the last one, put in Web C for web conferencing, and put if you updated it, yes or no, and make yourself Emma number 1.
Okay.
Okay, and then make sure that everybody numbers it, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and pass it around, and the last person here, Felipe, you want to take a marker and mark your name tag. Okay, so we got that. What else am I missing? So Gabrielle, Kelly, and Danielle, where are you? Okay, so what do we got?
I did the team viewer one to start. We all did it together. So
Okay,
we,
fine.
We did each one.
Okay,
So we did each
and
one
you did
together.
them all, and you also did them and you screencast them, or what?
Yeah. We
Using
were like,
what?
Oh, I used Jing, and then I had to go on the screencast.com to actually share it.
Okay,
Mine recorded like right in it.
okay. So put that in, did you put that in,
Yeah,
that it
yeah,
record?
yeah.
Okay, perfect. And did you put price?
Mine, I
Mine
have
was
costs on
free.
mine.
Okay, so make sure that you said it. Very
Yeah.
good. Keep up the good work. Okay, let's go. Looks like you're working well together in a group. What's next? Cindy, James, and Elvia, where are we? Okay, do we have 2, 3?
Yeah, 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. Okay, so this is, you just did then Zoom or what?
We each tried Zoom and we recorded together.
Okay, all right. And all 3 of you? Or there's 2 of you now?
Right, 2 of us now, but all 3 of us did the conference.
Oh, okay, so put your names there of who did it, okay? So you can go in now. When I give you suggestions, fix it now. Don't waste your time, other times. Okay, William, Danielle, and Yami, where are we? Okay, what's going on? Huh? I don't know. You know your group. Okay, so is this yours?
That's not mine. But I was having scheduling issues with my classes, so I wasn't gonna take this class, and now I am, so all that messed up. But I tried to contact them, they haven't replied, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so you never met with them?
I haven't been able to contact, I don't know what's going on with it.
Okay, not good, right? Not good at all. So what I suggest you do is, group 5 is John and Kayla here. You may, at the end of the class, see them in the back in the corner. I suggest maybe see if they'll let you join their group, and then you can get up and running, rather than waiting,
Yeah.
because we only are here, okay? William, Daniel, and Yami, I'm done, right? So Sean, Devin, Isaiah, what's up?
Deal is, I didn't get the audit, I didn't know about the audit.
Okay, but we got it now.
We got it now, I'm gonna do it by tonight.
Okay, but you want to work with your group,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay, you
yeah,
got
yeah,
them up,
yeah,
okay? And
So-
did you do the 2 of you, did you do a web conference or
We did
separate?
our own individual.
Okay, so then do a 3 for next week, have it 3, so,
Okay.
got it?
Yep.
Okay, all right, so, what do we got? Liz, Kyle, and Monica, where are you? Okay, so what's up?
We were able to do all 3 of us on 2 of them.
You're able to do what?
Like have all 3 of us show up on 2 of them.
Okay, all right.
Looks good, right?
Do we have prices?
Yeah,
So if not, put them in, okay? And then Chelsea and Ricky, are you just 2?
Yeah. the other one's
Okay.
dropped out.
What? The other one dropped out. Okay. So Roy, put your name down. So Danielle, also this group, right? Ricky, you wanna, and Chelsea, you wanna raise your hand? So these 2 also are 2 people that, at the end, you decide, you take the initiative and place yourself there rather than waiting, 'cause it's too long. Okay, so anything I need to know? How's it going?
Good, we got 2 of us in a Zoom conference.
Okay, and how did it work out?
It went well. We uploaded, so Zoom gives us the option of downloading the video, the audio, and the chat separately, so I uploaded all that.
Perfect. Okay, we're finished with this, so we can use it for our next assignments. We can use it more and more for that. Okay, let me go over a couple of points for you here. Meaningful use. What's the purpose? Who can tell me? Meaningful use. What does it mean and who cares? Yes, Kelly.
Like having information available electronically, like records that are easy to use for both like the healthcare system, but also the patient, so like everyone kind of benefits from
Okay.
it.
So this table is important for you to know. This is basically the government wants to give incentives for the data for healthcare to have a digital transformation. The government wants to incentivize healthcare professionals to be in a digital transformation mode, and why? If all records are in digital format, what can I do? Deb?
So you can look at patient history, you can also look at reimbursement models and how CBT codes.
Right. I can do what we call data analytics. I can do forecasting. I can know about my population.
Yep.
I can know about individual. The support from family and friends can be available when I have everything digitally. And you think about it, this is a no-brainer. Think about how much we use digital in our everyday lives, and healthcare has always been the laggard. So they said, hey, we need a boost, and what's more important than have my population be healthy? And what is also the issue for the government is, we'll see a little bit later on, is the government spends quite a bit of money in trying to make sick people healthier. No brainer. So what they did, in order to get this process going, they broke it down into stages. What do I mean by stages? I mean that you cannot expect everyone overnight to be 100% compliant. So we'll break it up into stages, and if you look at the stages, they start with stage 1, then go to stage 2, and go to stage 3. So when reading this, there's so much information here, isn't there? It's like inundates you with all those acronyms, you almost can get dizzy. So I want to point out what's important, and I told you before, is any acronym you see is jotted down with its meaning. And then for the exam period, you can have a list of all those acronyms with its meaning. I don't need you to clutter your head with just acronyms, but rather the meaning. So if I look at stage 1 says electronically capturing health information in a standardized format. Underline the word standardized format, because why? Because if it's in the same format, then it's what? Easy to share, right? Think about it. If you call something social security number, and you call something human ID, and then you call something user ID, and you call something patient number, and they represent the same thing, it will be different to find. Or the ideas of the certain coding. So that has to be. Using that information to track clinical conditions. Communicating the information for care coordination processes. What happens many times is someone sees 5 physicians and each physician doesn't know about the other. And what's wrong with that? What's the problem with that?
You get like redundant testing.
Redundant testing. Oh, let me take an x-ray of that again. Let me take another MRI of that. Why buy? What else?
I also feel like if the other physician saw what the previous physician's notes and like results were, they can like use that to like further the
Add on to it.
Yeah.
I always even think about it in learning. In this I don't even know what's, if you're whatever major you are and they're covering something, it should be coordination that I don't have to repeat something. I even do it like even for our own majors in information systems that I expected in another course they would have covered that information, right? Or you get the same, or you get repetition. So it's the same thing, but think about this, I'm not dealing with life and death with you. Okay, so you don't learn that topic or you heard it 5 times. But think about it in terms of healthcare and not being efficient. And you can think about it, initiating reporting of clinical quality measures and public health information. Here's on the public, and using information to engage patients and their families. So say in stage 1, we'll incentivize you with money if you will then digitize and use electronic health care for those purposes. Find ways to engage the family. That makes sense. That's a no-brainer, right? If you have an older member of your family and they're never checking their blood levels or their glucose levels or taking medication properly or going to their appointments on time. And how can you do it? So you can think now, if we look at healthcare, there's a lot of apps and there are a lot of devices. Like what? There's ended up to be a lot of wearables, ways to see if you've taken your medication right, when you open the bottle, ways in which even, who bought PillPack? Was that Amazon? So basically, what is PillPack? Anybody know?
It was like you have to sign up for your like an online prescription or like that, and how your doctor's approving it, send you pills for the cancer or something.
Yeah, what else? Look at, when in doubt, what?
Look it up.
Look it up. What are you expecting me to work so hard? I had Labor Day. I had all that rain, had all those plans, right? So what do we find? PillPack. Roy. Everybody's smiling at me, expecting me to work. What is this?
The only online pharmacy.
Amazon.
Amazon bought them, right?
Yeah.
If Amazon bought them, why do you think they bought them? They want to get into healthcare. Right? They got into everything else in disrupting, right? So they're going to get into healthcare and basically give you packs. So if somebody has to take, a patient has to take 6 pills a day, I need all those 6 pills, right? Find those bottles and everything. What do? They pack it in a little packet. Hey, this is day 1 packet. Open it up and take it off. Simple little thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did they sell it? What did Amazon buy for? Anybody look it up? I don't even remember.
Under 1 billion.
Huh?
Under 1 billion.
Oh, $1 billion. Not a bad thing. It doesn't sound like so high tech, right? Put a bunch of pills, put them in a little package, right? Seal it and send it. $1 billion. So when we get to, when Dr. Gerst comes here, I want you all to be his friend, because when you come up with ideas, he can find funding. You know, I mean, he's doing, when he tells me the amounts of money that he does on these deals, you know. I don't know how many zeros there are, but there are quite a few. So, and he's willing to invest. So think about this. Stage 2, we're going to say, okay, you've gotten the basics. Now I want you to concentrate on interoperability. And what is that? It's called HIE. And later on we'll know it just because we're used to it. Nobody was born with all these acronyms. What's HIE stand for? And if you say, I don't know, you know that's not good enough for me. When you have thank God, when you have a computer, in your mind, that you want to do it. But what's HIE?
Health Information Exchange.
Health Information Exchange. Look it up, whatever it is, in your paper, in your book, in your computer, whatever. Health Information Exchange. And of course that's going to be essential, especially in the United States, because we've been notorious for not being able to easily exchange information. And can you imagine going to a bank and saying, I want to make a bank transfer. Someone lives in California, and they said, what bank are they? And I said, I don't know, and I don't care. I want to get this remittance to this person, right? You don't care what bank they are. But here, I want to get my health record. It's a whole makeshift problem here. Increased requirements for e-prescribing. Of course, all my prescriptions should be electronically. Incorporating lab results should be there in one location. Electronic transmission of patient summaries across multiple settings and more patient-controlled data. That I have control of my data and I can allow others to use it. And later on, for best practices, later on, people are talking about them paying me to use my data for other studies. Doesn't it make sense? So that's stage 2. In stage 2, you basically think about interoperability. It's kind of it. Stage 3 is improving the quality, safety, and efficiency, leading to improved health outcomes. Because what they found is, which was amazing in the United States, is that healthcare a lot of the money and the problems were that people made a lot of errors. And there's something called, and we want to be more efficient, and we want to have better health outcomes. And as I say over and over again, technology should give us better health outcomes. Technology for technology's sake is not worth it. Decision support for national high priority conditions. Decision support meaning I have models that will help the physician or the healthcare provider. What's an example of decision support systems is basically having a computer program advising me of alerts, telling me that there's a contradiction, telling me that there's new research. Patient access to self-management tools. And access to comprehensive patient data through patient-centered HIE. HIE again, Em, is what?
Oh, Health Information Exchange?
Health what?
Information Exchange?
Exchange, right. And improving population health. So this is almost population health, this is interoperability, and this is basically get that data in and at least coordinate the care. And there was a number of incentives. Now, most hospitals and institutions and even physicians and so forth have been in a number of these stages, right? There's incentive programs. I'm not going to go through these, but the idea that they're going to incentivize for federal governments, those that are in Medicare, Medicaid, because they're government owned. And the Affordable Care Act, what was the whole purpose of the Affordable Care Act? Was to improve patient information, patient care, improve health population, and reduce the per capita cost of health care. And we have something, we have another acronym. God forbid we should miss another acronym. There's one called MIPS, M-I-P-S. Merit-based incentive patient systems. that will replace value-based programs, including the EHR incentive program, will use a set of performance measures divided into categories to calculate a score between 0 and 100 for eligible professionals. Each category of performance will be weighted. So they're basically, it's almost like instructor evaluations, but this is in those eligible professionals. What's the quality of care? What's the advancing care information? What are the clinical practice improvements? And that's how I'm going to get paid. So these are our basics of the MIPS. And interoperability efforts. Can you imagine that these are the efforts for interoperability? We should be ashamed that we're in 2018 we're talking about this. And that, aren't you a little embarrassed? I mean, we can go on to using, artificial intelligence, talking about robotics, talking about Internet of things to be able to improve healthcare, and we have to have a situation where they say we want to entice people to exchange information. Where in the world where have they been? Think about it. When I tell you Google it, right? That we should be able to share from the whole world, right? Studies, we should be able to get data, right? And here is, I'm embarrassed. 2015 to 70, send, receive, find, and use priority data domains to improve health and healthcare quality. At CMS, what's CMS?
Center for Medicaid Services?
Yeah, Center for Medicare Services, right? So CMS will administer 30% of all Medicare payments to providers through alternative methods, right? Here, expand interoperability, health IT, and users to improve health and lower cost. No brainer. 2021, that's a long time, a learning health system enabled by nationwide interoperability. The federal government will use value-based payment models as the dominant mode. They're going to create a learning health system. So these three, send and receive. Send and receive data. Unbelievable. I tried the other day to get a healthcare record from doctors. And they said, well, the other parts are, when were you last time here? Well, I don't know, 4 years ago. Oh, that may be in our archives. It'll take 2 or 3 weeks. What? Well, it may be in boxes, and it may not be digitized. Maybe in a folder. What year are we? Who am I talking to? And then finally they did me a favor, and I said, well, I know part of the record's on the, then maybe they'll email it to you in 4 days. 4 days? To get, and this is Baptist, it's, one of the best, right? Can you imagine the other ones? And they actually, asked me. Okay, the other thing that you need to do, put this in your notes. See this? This is my question. HL7 stands for what? Health level 7, and then we say, who cares, right? That we don't want to be in a cocktail party saying, oh, that HL7, not good. And somebody says, who cares? Okay, health level 7, founded in 1987. Health level 7 International is a not-for-profit, ANSI accredited standards developing organization dedicated to providing a ... And my idea is, what's ANSI accredited standards, and what is it, and who cares? And there's even a Twitter feed about that. Can you imagine how bored you must be to read the HL7 Twitter feed? Oh my God. we could figure out something better to do at night, right? Than reading the HL7 Twitter feed, you know? Okay, there's more exciting things. Okay, so we have introduction to HL7, and the idea is this. I'll tell you simple. Look at all this wording here. And if you can even figure this out, good luck. And then they have, see all these standards and EHR types, right? And normalize. Let's do this real quick, and then I'll tell you what it is. HL7 example. Let's see. Okay. Remember I talked about data? Who remembers that? Mentioned data, right? What's the problem with data? Is that one is your data and my data may not have the same standards. What you call social security number, she calls it patient number, and they're calling it something else. So I need standards. HL7 gives standards for data to be processed and shared. So let's think you go into a hospital. Where do you go first into a hospital? James. I enter a hospital, I'm not feeling well. I said, James, take me to doctors right here. We entered, you come with me. He said, Dr. Rush, she doesn't feel good. I'll walk with her into it. And where do you think the first place we'll go?
The emergency room?
Emergency room, and who we're gonna see in the emergency room? Kelly, who we're gonna see?
You go to like someone on their computer who's just gonna like print out a wristband for you and ID you.
Okay, and what are they gonna ask me?
Your birthday
And what else are they gonna ask me? My name, my social, right, my birthday, next of kin, what else are they gonna ask me?
Insurance.
My insurance, right? It's all my, next of kin, all my insurance information, right? And hopefully, right, if I had my record, they don't, but sometimes I don't even know if they're saying, you gotta fill this out here, James, I'm not feeling well, he has to fill it out in paper, and she's gonna, and some clerk in back are typing in there, or I'm gonna give it to them, give them all my IDs, and then they say, you know what, I don't know, you have to go to radiology. So James, he's so nice, he said, Dr. Rush, go into this wheelchair, we'll wheel you into radiology, right? So what does radiology need? It needs to then do, hey, how are you? We're gonna start moving it in the same way. Is this gonna be easier? You sit here, you want there? Sit here, it's easier. Right, they're gonna move in the same way, they're gonna take my data. So what my HL7 is gonna do, my HL7 then will set up the standards in what we call, based on what we call XML. XML stands for extensible markup language. Very good, Stephen. Extra credit. Okay, so we'll have then the extensible markup. And what is a markup language? Markup languages came way before the internet. I'm going to borrow this for a second, okay? Thick book, heavy. Basically, it even started with standard general markup language. So if I look at this text, it doesn't even matter, right? I look at the front here, what do I have? I have a markup language. It all's gonna have text, but what is this gonna be? It's gonna be based on certain font size, certain things are gonna be bold, right? Here it's gonna be bold, here I'm gonna have a header, right? Sometimes I'm gonna have a footer. All of that is done by what we call tags, T-A-G-S. And what are the tags? Basically, you can see this is one tag, this is another, the ending tag, the beginning tag, the ending tag that we have. In this case, we combine it, you see there where it says XML-NS, that means namespace, but who cares? But it's basically starting off and saying it's describing my data. And how did I have a description of my data? I've had a lot of markup languages throughout the way that we look at it, and we have one that some of you have seen before. It's called HTML, right? And HTML stands for what? Guys, let's move it. Right.
Hypertext markup language.
And the ML is the same, right, James? The ML stands for what? Markup language. What is the markup language? I have text, and I'm going to mark it up to display something. In the olden days, before even the web browsers came about, I had a markup language just on a book, right? To tell me the bold, to tell me the font, to tell me the size, right? And there are markup languages for the publishers to do that. Now there's a markup language on a web browser, so anytime I go to any website, right, that what I can do, you see this? I'm on a website right here. I'm in the courses, right? Whose was this? This was Ricky's way. You see what it says right down here? Chelsea, what does it say here?
View page source.
View page source. If I go to view page source, right? If I go to view page source, this looks very much. This is hypertext markup language. What did you put in your notes here? Hypertext markup language means the markup language for a web browser, the look and the feel of what a web page looks like. Yes.
So I guess like two questions.
Yes.
Is XML only used in healthcare?
No. I'll get to XML in a minute.
And HL7
Is a version of XML that's used in healthcare.
HL7. Oh, so it's a version of it. It's not what develops it.
Right. Well, it's a version of it, and there's converters and there's products that do it. But the whole purpose is to tell about my data, to be able to standardize my data, that I'll be able then to share my data with other providers, with other software programs, that I can be able to take that data. So what we have, I just want to show you with the HTML. You see on line 3 there, it says the language is English in the U.S. You see where it says a header, and you say here the title. What does the title say? Emma, I think it's conference software. Conference software, right? Somebody wrote that. You guys wrote that, right? Conference software, right? And then it has some meta tags to be able to search for, and then it has some script. And you see the script. What does the script say here in line 15? Huh? JavaScript. JavaScript is a programming language that's used on a web browser to basically do the logic of a program. Think about the logic of the program is that if you're on any website and they're going to be able to see what browser you're using, or if you're going to use it, remember when you're going to put in a credit card, it'll ask you for which type of credit card you are, and all the processing part of it is using JavaScript. It's a logic programming language that's script-based, meaning that it works over a browser. But the HTML was designed when the browser came into being. Markup language, instead of marking it up in a book for my general markup language, it used the markup language to make it look nice on a website. Everybody with me? So it's the coloring, it's the paragraphs, I can see tables, everything like it. Just think about Word, right? To make Word look better, right, with my font size and so forth, I'm just using Word's markup. Basically, think about that. Like Word's everybody with me? So now what they did, this is basically, think about it, it's like an attribute. This is viewing my data. How my data looks. I'm not changing my data with an HTML. What am I doing? I'm changing the look and the feel. And then you as the end user can write the conferencing software, right? You were doing that, and then you can change the fonts, and then the HTML markup language. There are people that know it, but now you don't even have to know it. There's computer programs that will convert how you want it to look and feel to this markup language. That's the look of the data. Now what I'm talking about is the data itself, the type of data it is. I want to find all those patients that are above a certain age, that are Hispanic, that have diabetes. That's about my data, not the look and the feel of the data. So what they created was this extensible markup language. It has nothing to do with healthcare. It was a markup language just to tell me about the data, not what's inside the data. And I give it tags. So I can have XML. Let's say we were a book publisher. We're all going to go to a book conference. We're a book publisher. Tell me what tags I would have as a book publisher. What tags would be important for me? Let me take this book away. What would be important to know about this book?
ISBN.
The ISBN, right? The ISBN, what else? Excellent. So the ISBN would be a tag for the book publishing company. So XML, HTML, you can put this in your notes, HTML is predefined. Meaning that somebody took this HTML head and TR and all these others, they're predefined tags. Like head is one, like the header, and then I just end it with head here. It's a tag, predefined. XML, you can put it, it's extensible, meaning that it's user defined. I can make my own XML tags based on my own industry, based on my own interests. So my XML for a publisher, one tag would be ISBN. What would be another tag? Cindy, what would be another tag?
The date of publication.
Date of publication. What else?
Title.
Title. What else?
Author.
Author. All of those would then be, for the book publishing, these are its tags. If I were auto parts, it would be completely different, right? If I were grocery, it would be completely different. So basically, industries can have their own. So going back to yours, James, HL7 is an extension of XML, and who decides is a standard in the health industry to say that there's certain tags that are going to be important about my data. Not how the look and feel of my data is like HTML, but that I can then view it. We talk about trading. We talk about stocks, John. What's going to be important there? The name of the stock symbol, right? The opening price, the closing price, the industry, the SEC. All of those are going to be, so I can find all those stocks between $10 and $12 that have gone up in the past month 10%. I can find that out by those tags based on the industries. I have something called XBRL. It's for the business reporting language, extensible. Every time if I'm a publicly traded company, I have to file with the Securities and Exchange Commission. They want the same format so we can use those tags. Everybody with me? So that's the whole big thing, where they're throwing all this stuff at you. It's just tags. The HTML is how it looks on a browser. The rest of the XML, I can make my own user-defined tags. Anybody ever see, what's the Excel, what's the extension of Excel? Tell me what the extension of Excel is.
Excel, or Excel.
What's the extension, or PowerPoint, doesn't matter, what's the, give me PowerPoint's extension, when you save a PowerPoint, what? PPT, what's the last one? X. What's Excel? XLS. X. What do you think this X stands for? Now.
Exchange.
What do you think X stands for?
Executable file.
What do you think the X stands for?
Extensible.
Extensible. So if you could go in, let's say you were a company, right? And you merged with another company. And you had all your PowerPoints and you had your logos in the bottom. And you want now the new one. You could then basically get the XML version of PowerPoint and write a little script and say everywhere that it said Cindy's company, it now says James and Company. And for all the PowerPoints, then you could change everything throughout it. It's extensible. They wanted to make it extensible. You don't know that. You don't care. But that X is basically, I'll show you later, you can make a PowerPoint, you can just zip it, or an Excel, and you can read all the properties and that are in that Excel sheet that you can think about. We can do that later after we read the Twitter feed, right, of HL7, right? We can do something like that. Okay? So does that make sense? Yes? So we know what we need to do for next week? Oh, I need to do the next week's quiz, right? Let me do that. Then we'll take a real short break, and I am so excited that we have Dr. Gerst here to share with me his words of wisdom, right, Stephen? And I can get you up and running. Let me just get the quiz up online, and then we'll take a short break, and we'll do this. Yes, Danny?
Can you just clarify what you want us to do for next?
Yes, I will. Let me make first the quiz. That's first. So I'm going, okay, so let me just go to a regular session, which is this one. I'm going to go to my assignments. I'm going to go to my quizzes. You should have, okay, so chapter 3 we'll do for next week. My assignments, quizzes.
We're in the same year.
So we'll do 2 attempts. Can you check to see if it's available? Yes? So we'll do chapter 3. I want to make sure that everyone then has done their web conferencing as a group. Also, if you have web conferencing that costs, that are like 14-day limits, find some that are free for longer periods of time. And then what I want you to do is find in the healthcare sector. Is
She's like, he's right.
Upload it as a file. It's a good thing.
Folks, for our next time, we need to do finish up the web conferencing. Then what we're gonna be doing is looking at the healthcare stock sectors. I want you to find which stock sectors look to be doing the best and list the 10 best companies that have done well this past year. Write down their names and their symbols, and then we're gonna do an exercise with that next week.
With just 10 best companies in general?
For the healthcare sector.
Oh, for healthcare sectors?
Yeah. And then, download that data and we'll do some exercises with it next week.
So you want the data of their
Wait, where do we,
companies too?
where do we put this on?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Where does the list go?
Put it in a spreadsheet.
Would Amazon count?
If they're getting into the health sector, yeah. But first, let Stephen get off of Amazon for a while.
Okay.
We'll look at it, but they're getting more and more. Okay, folks, let's take a short break, and then I'll get Stephen, what do you need to get set up? Just this? Wow, great. So we'll set you up, and let's say, just stretch and then come back. Okay, so how's this working? So what's going on? It's cute. So which one is it?
UN number 2, UN Power.
This one?
UN presentation.
Okay, nice. Okay. So let me just close my thing. So how are we doing? Yeah, everything okay? Last time, you've been traveling since last time I saw you?
Probably, but I'm leaving again tomorrow. So I'll be on the road for the next 4 weeks.
Huh?
I'll be on the road for the next 4 or 5 weeks.
With one?
Washington tomorrow, my brother's wedding.
Oh, really?
Then New York. So some deals I'm working on. Then Chicago. Then Monte Carlo. Then Austin. I'm not
Really?
sure after that.
Well, I haven't been to Austin in a long time.
Robin.
Have you been in Austin right now?
Yeah, actually bumped into Kevin Bacon.
Really? I love that city. You know, that's where we graduated for PhD at UT. I love
Know that?
Yeah, got our PhD at UT. Okay, Stephen, you wanna, let's see here. Okay,
When to start?
let's start.
Okay.
Okay, what, you need a board, or what do you need?
Nope.
Okay, folks, let me even, get everybody started here, and that way we can do it. I am so happy to introduce you to Dr. Stephen Gerst. I'll have him introduce himself, but you can see here he has more little MDs, MBAs, MPH, and CHE. What's CHE?
Board Certified in Medical Management.
Okay, so we got another one. Okay, I don't even know all these, okay? We need a little sheet just for all his his name, the chief medical officer, and now it's telemetrics?
Yeah, can you go to full screen?
Yeah, sure. I'll get you even a full slideshow.
Are we waiting for anybody else?
No, let's just go on. When they
All
come,
right.
they come.
So how much time do we have?
Let's do about 25 minutes.
Okay.
That's good? Like, let's even do like 20 minutes and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all right, so we're gonna have to go fast here.
Okay.
So.
And I'll
first
be
of
in
all-
charge.
First of all, I gotta say, I wish I was taking your class, because I never learned any of that stuff.
Okay, so
Teachers
good.
fine.
You're always welcome,
You're
right?
Very, very
He's
lucky.
always welcome to our class. And notice that we're gonna be broadcasting too, so you can then come from the outside and join us anytime when you're on the road. You're in Washington or Austin, one of my favorite cities, you can join us as well there. Okay, good.
Okay. Come on in. Have a seat. Not too expensive. Let me see. All right, well, I'm honored to be here with you. Every time I come to Sarah's class, I learn a lot, and she's really terrific. She knows this stuff. So who wants to work in the largest industry in the world? Any of you guys? Did you know it's the largest industry in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go through some numbers, but how much do we spend on US healthcare in this country? Almost 17.5% of the GDP right now, going to 19.5%. How much is that? How big is our economy?
28 trillion.
14 trillion. Close. Up by a little. But good question. So, and we're the largest economy in the world. So this is the largest industry in the United States, 20%. So 1/5 of everything that we make here. 1/5 of everything you make goes to pay for your healthcare costs. Okay? When you make a sweater, when you make a computer, when you ship anything overseas, that's going to pay. 1/5 pays for the employee healthcare costs. So let's shift down here now. Back in 2007, during the Clinton administration, where we had Hillary Care and all that sort of stuff, we had a big problem because we were at 2.3 trillion and we were expected to go to about $4 trillion. That was a huge piece of the economy back then. All right, and so what happened in 2010 in order to try and stem the cost? Anybody? Yes, ACA. And what's the biggest component of the ACA besides the insurance piece? Not the mandate, but what did physicians do? What did it do? Have you ever heard of it? Accountable care organizations? ACOs?
Yep.
All right, so basically, what we did was we got physicians to actually organize themselves into LLCs, limited liability corporations. All right, because up until that point, trying to get physicians to do anything together was like herding cats. Everybody wanted to be an individual doctor, practicer, and didn't want anybody to tell them what to do. Once you set up accountable care that was paid for by Medicare, and there was incentive where you're going to share the savings, okay, that changed the ballgame. Because when I came into, well, I was with, I guess, a little bit of background. I'm a physician, trained at Columbia in New York. I cross-registered in business and law schools, and I started my career at Premier, which is 4,000 hospitals now. It's the largest group purchasing organization in the country. Went from there on the hospital side to the insurance side with AIG, largest insurer in the world. These are all publicly traded companies now. And worked for Crawford & Company, also New York Stock Exchange, where we were the largest insurance intermediary in the world, 700 offices worldwide. Handled all the workers' comp, property and casualty, the adjusters. Something happens down here, it's probably a Crawford adjuster that came out and assessed the value of your car to pay you back. All right. I started the PPO business there because we had all this workers' comp, and we would get discounts from the hospitals and
You want
doctors.
to tell them what PPO is?
Preferred provider organization.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where you contract with doctors for a discount in exchange for volume, and you change the benefit structure for the employee, say, okay, 20% copay if you go in-network, 40% copay out-of-pocket if you go out-of-network, and all kinds of variations on that. All right, so that came about, and if you add in utilization review, which is where you have to check with an insurance company doctor for what the length of stay is going to be for the patient, you basically have what's called an HMO. Now the HMO started first, but we kind of split this out for self-insured employers who didn't want HMOs at the time. Problem, and what happened was when I came into this, and my next move was I got hired by our governor, Rick Scott, at Columbia HCA to build that company. And I was president of their managed care division and put together the second nationwide PPO in the country. I had 1,200 hospitals, 120,000 doctors, all feeding in. And we built it around the the HCA hospitals on the for-profit side. Then when I went to PricewaterhouseCoopers, I was regional medical director, and the first assignment that I got was, why are we using all these utilization review and PPO management techniques in commercial insurance, but not in Medicare, not in government? We should propose that, because when you go into Big Four consulting, Big Six, Big Four consulting, you have to have an edge on the competition. So I was with PricewaterhouseCoopers, we were competing against Deloitte, Accenture, and some others, but we wanted to have an edge. So I wrote the first plan to create Medicare Advantage, which is Medicare HMOs. Now there's a third of the Medicare population is enrolled in Medicare Advantage PPOs. We hired Newt Gingrich, we got it through Congress, and that's what we have. That meant 70% are not, okay? And we tried to figure out why. So we found out that really the incentives for the doctors were not there to push their patients in. They weren't supposed to be pushing their patients in, but that's what we were experiencing. And so two guys, Mark McClellan, a Harvard guy who was head of the FDA and then head of CMS, and another guy from Dartmouth named Elliot Fisher, whose father's Harvard Law, who wrote the book Getting to Yes, said, hey, let's find a way to incentivize the doctors, the primary care, who aren't making the money like the surgeons are, and share the savings with them, because they know the system, and right now the system is rigged so that the more volume they push through the hospital, the more money that's charged through the hospital, the better perks they get, the better offices, the better this, the better that. Okay, let's change the incentive and make it so that it's not the hospital in control, but Medicare is in control. And so that's what we did, and those are called accountable care. So now what's happened? Okay, next slide. Okay, and the ACA worked for a while. It stemmed the cost from what was going to $4.4 trillion to still around $3 trillion. But we're still here. You can see right about in 17, we're up at around $3 trillion. But guess what? We're adding another $2 trillion a year to the healthcare system over the next 7 years. We're gonna have to push past that.
Yeah.
And these are different cost estimates from the federal government. Now, let's take a look at this. This is what we're looking at by way of Medicare, Medicaid, CHIP programs, which are children's insurance, other public insurance, private insurance, employer-sponsored insurance. How much did we spend on national defense last year? This year, what's the budget for national defense? Any guesses? $681 trillion. I mean, billion dollars. $1 billion. This is the Trump budget for 2019.
It's not even a trillion?
Not even a trillion. Medicare is more than the national defense budget. Last year was the first year Medicare actually surpassed national defense in expenditures. That is the largest insurance company in the world. It's the largest industry in the world. Medicaid's close behind. Look at private insurance. Private insurance is twice that. Employer insurance. Every one of these categories is bigger than the national defense budget. That's a startling number, isn't it? Okay, next slide. All right, so we're going to 20%, you were right, 20% of GDP, and this is the GDP. This is the healthcare GDP, and this is everything else. So as healthcare goes, the rest of the economy goes. Okay, that's a problem, because you know why? You guys are business students, right?
Business and pre-med.
Business and pre-med.
Yeah, and health
For the
sciences.
business students, for the business students, okay, healthcare is an operating cost. It's a cost of goods sold, right? It's what you have to pay your workers to keep them healthy, to produce stuff. That's driving the cost of everything else, right here. That's a big problem. We have to find a way to help that one. Next slide. All right, next slide. And so, what's this one? So this is our per capita expenditures projected to grow from 36% to 55% per person through 2026. Tremendous opportunity for you. Tremendous amount of money floating into that. Everything you're learning in Sarah's class, that's a job, okay? That's a job somewhere in this industry. Next. Okay? Look how much we spend compared to all,
This is always amazing to me.
to other
And,
countries.
and you would think we would have the best outcomes, right?
We don't.
Right.
We don't. And I can tell you that because.
And who has the best outcomes, do you know?
Well, France is actually rated as having the best outcomes for the money. But I can tell you that I spent a lot of time in Asia, doing international medical travel for the Singapore government. They have really good healthcare. Now, you know why? Because it's a cash-based system and the hospitals are responsible for the cost of care. All right? So, here's an example. Anybody here have a car?
Yeah.
Everybody? Okay? When your carburetor or something breaks down in your car and you take it to the repairman, you expect it to be fixed, right? And what do? You pay them for the fix, right? You get out and it's still clunking, or it's something, it's not working right, the way you paid for it. What do?
Yeah, I'm in 312, I knew that.
What do?
For my
You take it back. Who pays for the change? Do you have to pay for the change again? If they didn't fix it right? Right? Or do they have to absorb the cost? Generally, they have to absorb the
Okay.
cost. In medicine, cut off the wrong leg, all right? Hospital gets paid. Bring the patient back, cut off the right leg, hospital gets paid. Medicare pays, the insurance company. Doctor may get sued, all right, for doing that, or the hospital may get sued and their insurance company picks it up and it's syndicated out and the risk is low, okay? But they don't have to
then the
necessarily.
rates go up too, don't they?
And the rates go up and it gets passed on to the employer,
Right.
all right? The vicious cycle in the system has driven this cost way up because of the way it's working. We're not working effectively. You go to Singapore, you go to China, you go to the Asiatic countries, okay? India, for those people who are from India. Those hospitals, if they don't fix it right, you go back, they absorb the cost. So as a result, when I walked in 20 years ago, or 15 years ago to Singapore hospitals that are affiliated with Duke or some of these other major health centers, Cleveland Clinic, we were building hospitals there for Cleveland Clinic. We'd have 3 layers of glass with chlorhexidine and ultraviolet light, blue light to kill bacteria in every room because the hospital didn't want to be responsible for keeping the patient in any longer than they were being paid for. They didn't want an infection. Completely opposite in the United States. US, Singapore and Malaysia. Malaysian hospitals are excellent and cheaper. The Singapore government actually sends their patients to Malaysia. It's right across the water, but it's half the price. So, interesting. Next. All right, now, we're talking about a trade war on the Trump side, right? You all heard about that? You watch the market fluctuate every day, up and down. Is Canada in the NAFTA,
Right.
or is out? What's going on with China? And the market just jumps up and down on the trade wars, all right? You know where the trade war problem is? We have a 15% tariff inherent in our system between what the United States pays as percentage of GDP and what China pays. Okay? And these are the other developed countries, but China and Mexico are down here at 6.2 and 5.4%. There's at least 10% differential in there, right? Between our goods and services. Sorry. Between our goods and services, next. That's what we have to combat. And look at this compared to other countries, right? Medicare. That's
So this is
people
the
turning
age, right?
55 Medicare. All right, next. So what do? We launched the ACOs. I just told you about that. What we did was we took the government takes claims data going back 3 years for every single doctor, because the doctors have to get together 5,000 patients and submit to be an accountable care organization as a group. And then CMS sets a baseline and says, okay, we're looking over here and saying, okay, based on this, let's say you've got a 12% increase in your average cost per year. We want you to just not even reduce it, just reduce the rate of growth by 4%. Okay? So if we do that, we'll set that baseline, that's the target. And then if you come in anything under it, we'll share the cost with you. So that's a shared risk model. And it's working rather well. Okay? Next slide. So this is the Congressional Budget Office. It's right on target. We're at about 30 million people that are now enrolled in ACOs. All right? And with ACOs, it's not like you have to sign up. Your doctor signs you up. You don't even know you're in an ACO. So your doctor's at risk for your care. And they have to be more efficient, and it's also based on outcomes. Next slide. Thanks. All right, so where's the money at? The money's in the hospital side, inpatient, outpatient, right here, 50% of the dollars. Professional services is doctors, pharmacy, you hear a lot about, and other. Okay, now, this is your assignment for next week. You just did it. All right, so everybody take pictures of these slides, because here's what you're looking at. Healthcare equipment and supplies, this is what we do in investment banking. I do investment banking also.
Yeah, you can take a picture of this, really.
I work with a private equity firm. We've got about 1.5 billion in assets under management in New York. And I work as an investment banker. That folks just calling now, what happens to the deals? All right, so working on about 22 different companies right now. But this is how we buy and sell companies. All right, and your basic goal, a lot of you are going to go entrepreneurial. You're going to start off with a small company that you hope to raise money for, and then build it and sell it and make a ton of money. All right, now when you do that, when you get into that, you're traded. Have you done multiples?
No, not yet.
All right, you're basically traded on revenue multiple and profit, EBITDA. You know about EBITDA, right? Business students, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So that's how your companies are valued. They're valued three ways: either a multiple of revenues, a multiple of profit, EBITDA, because that's what you're buying. You're buying the profit stream when you buy a company going forward into the future. Or if you don't have profits and you don't have this, you do what's called a discounted cash flow model, weighted average cost of capital. You combine it and you do projections. Okay, so we end up having to do a lot of those with internal rates of return. But look at where you want to be. Healthcare technology,
Right.
26% times
That's
multiple.
the highest one, isn't it?
26. Never seen anything this high. That's where it's going. Pharmaceuticals are half that. Biotech, 15. New category just this quarter. And this is the latest. This is as of last week. Life sciences, tools and services. So you got healthcare equipment and supplies at 18, healthcare technology at 26, and life sciences. So when Sarah says, find me the most profitable companies, find me the companies that are doing well,
And the
those are the
sector.
sectors you're gonna wanna look
Right.
for. Next slide. Okay, look at healthcare equipment and supplies. This right here is the S&P index. This is healthcare equipment and supplies, just for the past year. All right, now, in your assignment that you're given, you're gonna wanna go in and find something like this. So, healthcare equipment and supplies, Medtronic, Becton Dickinson, Stryker, right? These are the revenue bases. This is their 52-week highs. Right here, look at what they have. What's the trading multiple on the stock market for publicly traded? What's the multiple of revenues that you're paying for when you buy their stock? Or what's the multiple of profits? And these are so those are some good companies. McKesson, Cardinal, this is healthcare distribution. But you see, this block is about 9.2. Healthcare equipment and supplies is 18. It's twice as much. Next one. Here's some others. All right, pharmaceuticals. Everybody thinks pharmaceuticals is great, and it is. I own a pharma company. We're raising about 30 million actually tonight in Korea for one that's affiliated where we take out University of Miami products. And so we're doing it for UM. But you know, you've got Pfizer, you've got Eli Lilly, you've got Bristol Myers. This is a whole topic unto itself. If you ever want me to talk about that, I will. And then biotech. So Amgen, Gilead, Celgene, Biogen. You've heard all these companies. These are the trading multiples.
And what are
right?
they trading now, the biotech?
Next one. So healthcare technology.
Right.
So I work with Cerner company, that's the EMR company. Epic is what University of Miami is on.
Mhm.
So we currently have, another company we currently have the Cerner contract for remote patient monitoring and chronic care management, which is where everything's going. And that's being rolled out this year. Athena Healthcare, that was started by two Harvard Business School guys who had a project they had to do. And one of them ended up as the CTO of the United States to fix Obamacare. All right, the other one just got Jonathan Bush. You may have read about him. He's Bush's nephew. All right, he just got kicked out by an activist investor, but he paid him $7 billion to do this. All right, it was trading. Look at the revenues on this. Equity value for Athena was $5 billion. Activist investors just paid $7 billion to get rid of the CEO, take it over. okay? But they started it right out of a class like this.
Right.
If you look at all the other industries, you'll see, what's the big ones? Biotech, 208, this is 10-year average, 284%. What else do you see that's high? What's this? Healthcare providers and services, you know? You look at other stuff like diversified consumer services, negative. Pharmaceuticals, 88%. Food and staples, 100, okay? These are the big ones. Healthcare technology, next. Here's where your jobs are, right here. This is from Deloitte. We're going from 364 billion to 514 billion just in med tech. Next. All right. Here's your market. What's the market? 5% of the population accounts for 50% of the cost of dollars. That's inpatient.
amazing.
This percentage of the population, 45%, is chronic care management. All right. That is another $1 trillion. That's 48%. Everything you hear about, Fitbits, you know, Garmin's, all this kind of stuff, is 3% of the market. It may be 50, it's what we call the worried well, it's 50% of the population, but it's only 3% of the revenues.
Because all the costs are up when you're really near
Right.
death.
Exactly. Next. All right, and this is the group. So
Right.
this is where multiple chronic conditions come in. The older you get, the more likely you are to have more. How many will you have? Next slide. Look at that, 35% of people in the United States have 5 or more chronic conditions. All right, diabetes, asthma, obesity, hypertension, we're all on drugs for these things. Fortunately, we're living longer because of them, okay? But if you look at these numbers, 71 cents of every dollar in healthcare goes to multiple chronic conditions. That's a big market. Next. Okay, according to Harvard, this is from the Chan School, over the next 20 years, it'll be $46 trillion that'll be spent in chronic care management. Where do you want to go? That's where the money is, right? What did Dillinger say? Follow the money? What do we want to do? We've got to figure out a way to curtail that. So we want to do what's called, this is your friend Mark. Mark Blatt was the medical director, chief medical officer for Intel. Good friend of Sarah's. That's how I got involved in this. He brought us in and we talked together. Okay, and so he came up with this called the leftward shift. Right now, if you're in the hospital, between a med-surg bed or an ICU bed, cost is between $1,000 and $10,000 a day. We want to leverage technology from the hospital through the step-down units into assisted living and nursing homes and into the home. And then when you get it into the home.
This is where the next step is gonna be,
Right.
in my opinion, is that whole idea of mobile. Because people can stay in their home, you can then monitor them virtually, you can get better care. You won't be going in the hospitals and getting MRSA and all the other.
Right, and it's happening right here, right now. So we were hired, my partner from Epic, who's the medical director at Epic, and we were hired by ADT several years ago. 10 million homes already.
You
They've
know what
got all the
ADT
security
is, like
stuff.
this home security, you know,
Right.
you think about it.
What are they doing in healthcare? Smart homes. Why? Because they've already got sensors in the homes. You can monitor falls. You can monitor everything in the home. You can monitor nests. You can monitor the temperature. People know when they're in and out. What do you want to monitor? Their health. And how you want to do it? You want to tie it into the local hospital. So that, and I saw this, and there are spec homes right in this area, and I'm under NDA, so I can't mention any names. But I saw the Ring Amazon merger and the Whole Foods merger coming 3 years ago when I was in one of the large home builders around here and went to their spec homes, and you go in with Ring keyless entry. This is before the mergers. You come in and Amazon says, "Hi Sarah, I'm so glad you're home. By the way, I've checked your refrigerator and you're a little low on eggs and orange juice. I decided just to put in the same order for you from Whole Foods. Don't worry, it'll all be delivered by a key. Okay, reading this entry from your
And then,
Whole
and
Foods."
tell me, Sarah, you're home, and how much have you run today? You haven't gotten off your butt, you've been in the classes, and you gotta
They'll
do a
talk to you.
couple of laps around
They'll
the
talk to you.
track.
And right there in the living room, which looks like, with gold leaf mirror, looks like a mirror in the living room, is actually a Samsung Interactive TV, 9 Interactive TV. And you go and say, "Siri or Alexa, you know what? You're right, I didn't run today. I'm not feeling well. Should I call your doctor? Yeah, would you?" Boom. On the screen is a local telemedicine doctor from your hospital saying, Sarah, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And then what we're saying is, let's put the equipment in the home, wirelessly connected into the electronic medical record system, so it's real-time data, and that's what we're doing right now, okay? So they'll check your blood pressure, you'll check your heart rate, you'll check everything right there next. And you can do it in any way. Now, how much is that worth? This is Goldman Sachs Equity Research from a year or so ago. $395 billion a year, that's how much it's worth, okay? Here's the vertical, remote patient monitoring, telehealth, and behavior modification. Put those three together, that's what you can save. $200 billion a year on remote patient monitoring with a $15 billion commercial opportunity. Telehealth, about $100 billion, $12 billion in commercial, and behavioral modification. So we're working in all three of these spaces right now, putting these companies together to try and make a comprehensive platform that can service the Amazon, JP Morgan, Berkshire Hathaway type groups. And I'm under NDA, so I can't tell you the other people that I'm working with that can do this, but they're all big companies that are already in your home.
So we're running a little bit out of time, and if you'd be so kind, after all your travels, if you can come back, I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
But can you kind of give us a sense of what your, what are your deals and wheels now? What are you investing in? And just in general, I don't want you to, devote to the NDA, but what are you doing now?
Focused on remote patient monitoring, chronic care management, since that's where the dollars are, as well as technologies that will float into these platforms. Now, I'm also being hired by companies getting into nutraceuticals.
What is
I have-
nutraceutical?
That is where you have like probiotics and stuff like that. These are companies, again, they're publicly traded companies, so I can't talk about it, but these are companies that, like one of the ones, they want to come up with a concoction of vitamins and amino acids and stuff that you can give before or after surgery. All right? And these are companies that are already in your muscle, your health food, your GNCs, they're already big $300-400 million companies out there that want to develop these lines. So I get into a lot of different things. I mean, people call me all the time for lots and lots of different things, and working with an investment bank out of New York, I get probably a company a day to look at, and I have to sort through it and figure it out. We have another one, a friend of mine from Columbia, who's a doctor, urologist here. We ended up coincidentally both working international, and he has developed a surgical company called Surgio, or Levion, right, where he's got surgical package pricing. So the doctors come in and they post their prices, a package price for everything. They've negotiated the OR time on excess OR time with the hospital, where it's unused, so excess capacity, and they get a flat price that they put out there. We're trying to take this to the insurance company and stuff like that, but you'll never guess who's actually paying for this. You want to guess? Who actually pays for a package price surgical site?
Who?
The device companies.
Because they want to be
Stryker, Boston Scientific, they
'Cause they wanna
want
be in
their devices
to be part of the package.
part of the package, okay, exclusively.
Yeah.
So they're willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Why? Because right now they're paying detail salespeople to go out with their hips,
Right.
artificial hips and everything in their trunk of their cars or to service the hospitals. When you just send it to one company or on demand, just in time for the
That-
surgery,
That should do
boom.
well.
You save on labor. That's why in pharma, they used to, up until just a few years ago, the prettiest, brightest,
Right.
best looking people were hired by the pharma companies to go out and detail. They call it detail the doctors and bring them drugs and do all that stuff.
Right. Schmooze with them and give them
Boom,
dinners. and
100,000
give 'em-
people got fired within a year because they started looking for different, cheaper distribution mechanisms, okay? This is one of those. So we're working on a lot of innovative technologies.
And are you working on anything, like you used to have the thing with the thermometer, you were doing any device?
Yeah, actually, they've come back, and now they've got a deal, they just called me back last week, where they've got a deal with Lenovo and Motorola, and now they're dealing with Samsung and others. And in order to, it's gonna come out as a new Moto Z package on your phone, where you do 5 or 6 vital signs, including blood pressure, temperature, everything, on the back of your phone.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So basically, what he used to have is a thermometer where you just put it next to your head, you don't even
It's a
touch it.
non-contact infrared thermometer.
And then this makes so much sense, it'll be on the back
Right.
of your phone.
Right, right.
You
For
can
those
take your
people who
temp-
want that, that's more of a commercial
Yeah.
play. What we're doing is we're taking the same technology and incorporate it into remote patient monitoring. So it's part of the package that we sell, and the buyers are the hospitals who are at risk and the insurance companies who are at risk.
So if I have, my mother comes back from the hospital, then she'll be coming back with the equipment to her house? Is that the idea?
No, we ship it. We order it electronically. We've got the EMR set up so that, say, every patient with congestive heart failure or diabetes who's being discharged that day, a nurse puts a button. It comes electronically by patient number to our warehouses in LA, all right, and we ship it out via FedEx next day air.
And and somebody comes and sets it out?
Nope, it's plug and play. Other companies, you have to do setups and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Ours is plug and play, and then the home health care nurse or the case management nurse at the hospital takes over from there because it's all electronic. It's all fed in, the data is fed into the hospital electronic medical record system. Every day, the nurses pick up the case,